start over.
Do you want to start over?
Oh, sorry,
the battery died?
No, I'm in the back. I can't hear you.
Oh.
If you could just one more time.
Yeah, I'll just yell really loud.
Okay. Thank you.
Sofia Lopez was born and raised in Puerto Rico. She received her BA from Cornell University before moving to San Francisco to pursue an MFA. She subsists on a diet of wine, kale, and books. Sofia.
So funny thing, somebody asked me, like, I actually don't eat that much kale, and somebody asked me the other day, like, how can it be? It's in your bio. Like, I ate so much kale during, like, right after graduation that I can no longer really withstand kale, so I'll eat anything but kale. I like spinach a lot, though. So it's an intro to me, and I'm gonna read something new. I've read from this novel before, but I haven't really read this beginning because it hasn't existed for all that long. So here we go. And if I have time, I'll read a little bit of nonfiction at the end, but depending on the time. I fell in love with New York City the very first time Henry and I visited. And I guess that's the thing with the city. It's like a wild fling. You love it, or you hate it, or you like it only enough to visit, never to live in. I loved it. I loved it enough to live there, to put my life into a plane and stuff it into this one place to inhabit it. I loved it like a foreign lover, every encounter an exotic adventure. I thought, nobody at home makes me feel this way. I thought, this is where I belonged all along. I wanted to wrap myself in the city like it was an expensive mink coat, soft and glamorous. I wanted to hang it from my neck like a string of pearls straight out of Breakfast at Tiffany's. Perhaps it's because I was such a visual person, always preoccupied with looks. We're sophomores. We stepped out of Port Authority, right by Times Squares, and the entirety of Manhattan, just like I'd seen it in every movie and television show, seemed to extend infinitely into the sky and in every other direction. I looked up at the city and it glittered. It was late evening, yet the city was illuminated, alight with flashing billboards. I caught an advertisement for a perfume, another for an active clothing line, a thin bottle, sensual patches of golden skin glistening with body oil. Camera flashes went off. There was a family taking pictures with Elmo. A second Elmo chased a group of teenagers down the street. New York was for the visual. Nobody took a whiff of the city and decided to stay. Exhaust gas, pigeons, and sewers, that's what New York smelled like. Lorca said in one of his poems that it was true the people wanted to throw the pigeons into the sewers, and that seemed to explain everything for me. I didn't mind the smells or the loud city sounds, cars and sirens and more cars. I was easily distracted. Someone had dangled something shiny in front of me, and like a child, I reached. After a handful of other visits throughout college, we decided this was the place for us. It was where we wanted to live after graduation. We'd send each other links to Craigslist post, and we collected pictures of impeccably decorated rooms. We should make a cork board like this one, with corks from every wine bottle we've ever drank. Airy rugs that looked as soft as butter, shower curtains like waterfalls. A Tempur-Pedic mattress, we have to. Like children playing house, we imagined beyond our means. We built a dollhouse made of dreams and felt it a reality. I pictured a yellow kitchen, bright and sunny even in the middle of winter, with a fully stocked spice rack and a cast iron skillet on the stove. I pictured a brown leather couch with plying cushions you could sink into. I pictured 2 pairs of bare feet resting on the coffee table. And just like that, he's gone. One day we're surrounded by our golden beige walls because the bald man at the hardware store told us that warm colors would make the place seem homey. And the next I'm thinking that perhaps beige isn't the color of soft sugar cookies freshly pulled from the oven, but the color of deserts, of vultures flying overhead waiting to pick you off your bones, that perhaps prisons were painted golden beige. Each grain in our desert was a fight or a passive-aggressive argument. The way he harshly shut the refrigerator door because I'd forgotten to buy more milk. How I suspected he left the toilet seat up on purpose in the middle of the night. How I taped it down one day. How we'd once gone 24 hours without talking because I swore we'd gotten our sheets at Target, and he said it was Bed Bath & Beyond. And we still couldn't get over our anger, even though we knew it didn't matter. It never mattered. They were just sheets, and yet, the anger. It was just there, built gradually and imperceptibly, collected like dust on the blades of a ceiling fan. But it was the letter that finally did it. I found it in the drawer of his bedside table, a single piece of folded paper inside a torn white envelope with beautiful cursive on the front. I didn't read it, at least not then. I put it back inside the drawer and closed the drawer and walked away. 2 weeks I spent questioning what the letter meant. I wanted to believe it was nothing. Henry hadn't even mentioned it to me, and wasn't that kind of proof of its insignificance? I thought about asking him. While making French toast on Sunday morning, I thought about saying, "The other day I was cleaning our room and throwing out all the clutter in the bedside drawers," and he'd say, "Oh, did you throw out that old letter?" Or perhaps he wouldn't even remember it had been there. But we finished making the French toast, thick battered slices cooked in butter until they were a rich golden color, and we sat, and I watched him eat greedily while I carefully cut each slice into 4 triangles, and each triangle in half, and ate each eighth one by one. I slowly worked through his slice while Henry watched my ritualistic cutting suspiciously. "I'm fine," I told him. I squeezed a large glob of syrup on my plate to prove my point. We finished and we loaded plates in the dishwasher and we left the pan soaking in water, and all the while I still hadn't brought myself to ask the question. The words that had appeared so light in my daydreams had grown heavy in their unspokenness. If the letter hadn't been important, I made it so with my silence. The couch wasn't new. We bought it off Craigslist from a man that said we could take it for $20 as long as we transported it ourselves. It was large and brown and had a grayish stain on the flip side of the cushion, which we didn't notice because we didn't think to check the underside of the cushion when we bought it. And I could picture the man sighing with relief after we wrenched the couch from his narrow doorway, thinking, thank God they didn't check the underside of the cushion, the 20 in his pocket heavy with victory. The couch was large and brown, and in our tiny living room seemed larger still. It felt not so much like the couch was in the living room, but like the couch was the living room, especially after we dragged it up 3 flights of stairs and were too tired to properly arrange it. So we left it sitting in the middle of the room and lied on it. Like it was not just our living room, but our home. We crammed onto our couch, fitting all of ourselves, both sets of arms and legs, not an inch of limb hanging off, not a single hair, and we laughed, Henry and I. We sat on a large brown couch and we laughed loudly, eyes tearing, face screwed, mouths open as if saying, I want to consume it all of this, all of us, I want more. After the couch, we got the bookshelf and the toaster. Before the couch, we'd gotten the bed, the dresser, the shower curtains. The fridge and the cabinets had come with the apartment. The last thing we obtained were the picture frames. But by that point, we were both working full-time. The excitement of the new place had subsided, and we wanted to spend our free time elsewhere, not decorating. We wanted rooftop bars where we could see the city lights like lakes of lights. We wanted shows with live music and champagne brunches where we ate as much as we drank. So the frames remained unhung. They rested against the wall. I got used to them there, used to the dust that settled on them. There they remained for months, something we had meant to do. Like our relationship, something we had meant to do. After the couch and the frames and the brunches, but before the breakup and the packing and the leaving, there was the call telling Henry that his father had a heart attack. He was at the hospital, but he was fine, resting, but fine. Fine, Henry kept saying, and I knew he was repeating the words his mother had said on the phone, their way of comforting each other. I have to go back, Henry said. He's in the cardiac unit, but he's fine. He'll be going home soon. Fine, he repeated. But the word that stuck to my mind was cardiac. It haunted me, as if cardiac was a threat against all of humanity, as if cardiac could never be anything good. There was no cardiac health, only cardiac unhealth. Is he going to be okay? He's fine, Henry said, anger barely disguised in his voice. I nodded, hesitant to dig further, hesitant to strike the source of the anger. He took a week off from work and charged the flight to his credit card. He didn't ask me to go with him, and I didn't ask him if he wanted me there. After cardiac, after fine, it was obvious there were things that did not belong to an us. Only to him or only to me, but not to us. which is from a series of vignettes I have going on about growing up in Puerto Rico, and they mostly have to do with language or Catholic religion or race or things like that. So I'll admit it's something that should have been asked before. Do you have any questions about sex? It's the kind of thing you ask a middle schooler in biology class, or perhaps a high schooler recently become sexually active. Perhaps it's a question you ask at the beginning of a relationship or after a first kiss, but no. I was in my first year of college, 17, living approximately 1,500 miles away from home, and my friend Gabby had just found out that in my Catholic high school sex ed consisted of the need to know basics. What it is, and now don't do it. We had no discussions of birth control, and certainly no talks about what it feels like, how to prepare, how to deal, that no, it's not supposed to hurt, and that yes, you are allowed to change your mind. We discussed biology, and the rest, well, the rest I picked up as I went along, from friends, from television, from the internet, from the Roman section at Borders with the sweaty pegs on the covers, from Cosmo magazines I read after my parents had gone to bed, when the house was filled with the hum of the air conditioner. As awkward as Gabby's question was, I appreciated it. I recognized it as something that should have been asked long before. Such open-ended questions were generally discouraged in my conservative high school. It was as if teachers and counselors had become wary of the turns the discussions could take. It was too easy to wind up in an uncomfortable situation, angry parents thinking their young daughters had learned too much too soon. Once, during my junior year in high school, a classmate decided to ask one of the big questions, one of the toughies, the whispered about but never brought to light. Why does the church oppose homosexuality? Is gay sex a sin? The class fell silent. The elephant in the room had just had a light shine on its big gray ass. I knew the girls in the class were divided in their opinion. There were those who were for the legalization of gay marriage, and there were those who recited the arguments taught to them by parents and grandparents. It's an aberration. It goes against nature. Sex is a tool for procreation, because Jesus said so. The teacher, a short, plump woman in her late 70s, said, God created man to be with woman, and he created woman to be with man. She kept her composure, tried to pull the class back towards the textbook. But why? The girl asked. I have a friend who's gay, another girl chimed in. It's not how it works, the teacher said. Our bodies were meant man for woman to fit each other, to complement each other. Girls fidgeted in their seats, ready to jump into the conversation. The teacher fought to stay in control. It's obvious, she said, that man was meant for woman. She picked up 2 pens from her desk and uncapped them. She held up the 2 caps. These are women, she said. She grabbed them together like a child playing with toy cars, making them crash in the air. See, it doesn't work. She picked up the 2 pens and proceeded to do the same. She brought the points a fraction of a centimeter apart from the Sistine Chapel, with God and man reaching their fingers towards each other, almost touching but not quite. And it was in this fraction of empty space that my eyes remained, trying to picture gay sex as some kind of penile jousting tournament. The class was perplexed, amazed, horrified. Some girls were giggling, some remained quiet, and others had buried their heads back in their books like ostriches. We looked on as the teacher proceeded to place the caps back on the pens. It's meant to be, she said. Finally, the union of cap and pen, and there it was, the entirety of human sexuality reduced to a bad pen analogy. And at least then, nobody dared to speak up. Nobody dared to say that perhaps humans were a little bit more complicated than pens, that gay sex didn't resemble jousting, that maybe there's more to love and more to sex than inserting tape in slot week.